Hello, everyone. Welcome to Online Presenters, a virtual Toastmasters Club. I'm your Sergeant at Arms, Sunny Fridge, aka Dr. Sunny. Guests, please note, if you'd like to be a member of the club, of our club, we'd love to have you. Here's what you need to do. Be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches. However, if you have substantial, relevant presentation experience, we welcome you to apply for membership after demonstrating your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by our club members. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it displays your name and your role. Simply hover over your video, right-click, and select Rename. Please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. It's wonderful that we have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. As a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we're recording this meeting. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. And now, please help me welcome our club president to the virtual stage. Give it up for Joni Laidlaw. Welcome, Joni.
Thank you, Madam Sergeant at Arms, for that lovely welcome. Today, we are actually going to be finding out or having a meeting about what will you become. So I look forward to us having a great meeting today. And without further ado, I turn over to our Toastmaster of the day, immediate past president, as well as our current Toastmaster of the day, Marianne Grady. Please make her feel welcome.
Well, thank you, everybody. I am so happy to be here with you tonight. Our theme today is Who Are You Becoming? And I have a little something that I'd like to read to you. We're not asking for credentials or accomplishments. We just want to ask that question. Who are you becoming? Not who do you want to be someday, but who are you becoming right now? Through the habits you practice, the relationships that you nurture, the challenges you face, and even how you talk to yourself when no one else is listening. We often think of change as something dramatic, new jobs, big moves, grand resolutions. But the truth? Becoming is subtle. It's the way you show up when no one's keeping score. It's in the courage to speak when your voice shakes, and in the grace to stay silent when words aren't needed. We are always becoming, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not. So tonight is an invitation to get curious, to notice not just what you're doing, but how it's shaping the person you're growing into. Whether tonight brings you joy, nerves, laughter, or surprise, it's all part of this story. And I can't wait to see who you're becoming. Welcome to tonight's meeting. Now, we have a wonderful meeting tonight. We have one speaker, and that would be David Carr. And David is going to be going to the Toastmasters International Convention and giving a presentation that he's trying out on us. So it's a little bit longer than the usual presentation. So he's practicing for the panel discussion on club growth at the Toastmasters Convention, and the focus will be on digital marketing techniques. He's putting it under his presentation mastery path, level 4, public relations strategy. So get ready to listen to one of our superstars, founding president, David Carr.
All right. Well, thank you, Marianne. Fellow convention goers, I want to talk to you about club growth in terms of some of the digital strategies that can help you with club growth. It can help attract people to your club. Now, I should acknowledge that digital is not the whole ball game. Uh, Digital is something that you do to try and get people in the door, and then you have to do everything else right to make sure that they sign up for your club and become engaged and become happy members. But before they can do any of that, they have to know that you exist. They have to know that something called Toastmasters exists. And they have to know that Toastmasters is not about actually making toast, which actually is a misconception that I've come across from time to time, is they think it's about toasting bread or something. Not quite sure. Not quite sure about the where it fits in. But I want to show you a few things, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit later. Uh, for starters, let's ask ChatGPT, what is the best Toastmasters club to learn skills for speaking online? ChatGPT, what do you say? The best Toastmasters club for learning to speak effectively online is considered Online Presenters Toastmasters. Good answer, ChatGPT. That's absolutely right. And where did ChatGPT learn that? They probably learned that from our website, which says right up top at the first sentence that this is the best place to learn online presentation speaking techniques. Come to our club, learn from our experienced speakers, and that's one of the ways that I have propagandized ChatGPT into believing that we're the best way of the club, and also by sharing great things like our hybrid workshop. So there's a lot of depth on this site. There's a whole transcript of this event that Graham was part of a little while ago. So that's ChatGPT. Let's go back to Google. Google's kind of important too. What's the best Toastmasters club in Coral Springs, Florida? Well, the AI overview says, well, it's kind of a subjective thing, but it might be Club Awesome Toastmasters. And why might you think it's Club Awesome Toastmasters? Well, maybe because I've been working for years to pump up this website and build it up and make sure that there is great content. Like this is a recent workshop that we hosted where you can come in and see the workshop replay. You can get a handout from the speaker. And we didn't just do stuff on the website. We did stuff on all over LinkedIn, particularly LinkedIn. One of the speaker's themes was the importance of networking on LinkedIn. She was talking about building your personal brand and how important LinkedIn can be for that. And so after the event, we also had people primed to go out and post about, wow, I got up early on a Friday and I came to this workshop and it was a great experience. Thank you, Club Awesome. So that's the kind of thing that we would like to make happen more often. And again, online is online, but ultimately the goal is to get people in the door of your club if you're in person, get people in the Zoom room if you're meeting online, and get them to experience, hopefully, that it's not just a bunch of hype, that when they get there, they are also going to be impressed by the actual experience. So these are all things that you have to do right. But I'm here to share some of my experience and expertise because I have been writing about the web and website techniques since the mid 1990s when I was at Internet World magazine. I've bounced around as a technical communicator, a writer about technology and business. Currently, I'm working for a company called SimilarWeb that helps many companies understand their competitive positioning in the digital world, including in search engine optimization. We're also trying to help people figure out that AI thing because more folks are actually going to ChatGPT and asking that question. Where should I go? What should I learn? What's the best experience? What should I buy on Amazon Prime Day? Was something that we saw popping up in the ChatGPT quasi search results recently. So there's a ton to learn. But one of the things I want to share with you are really that there are some basic things that you can do. And it doesn't necessarily depend on your choice of software. There are a lot of things that are independent of it, but software is one thing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about WordPress and why I recommend that you use WordPress over FreeToast Host. But again, the software is one thing. The wetware is pretty important too. The thinking through things. So, but just appreciate that the first impression of your club will probably be what people see online. So before you get them in the door, and this is the same thing that every salesperson, before you buy a car, what do? You check it out online. You look up the reviews, you look up the recommendations, maybe you look up the dealership before you ever go to sit in that car. And so we want to make a strong positive impression online. And we can do that in many different ways. Your website is one of them. I would argue that it should be the anchor piece because that's the thing that you own, whereas the rules are always changing about what you can post on these different social platforms. But think about what you present. I really want to emphasize value. What kind of value does your club deliver as opposed to the bureaucratic details, the club number, the district? Who cares? Who cares? That's an internal thing that you're worried about, not something that you need to advertise to the world. Try and show members in action. I mean, the typical thing that we do is we get people together for a group photo at the Christmas party or whatever event that we have people together, we have a good crowd in the room, we have a group photo and we put that on the front page. But if you can show people Toastmasters in action doing stuff, if you can show them a little, maybe some video, in other words, show, don't tell, give them examples of speakers who are proficient doing their thing. And think about insider jargon as something to avoid. Does everybody know what table topics is? Well, everybody in Toastmasters knows what table topics is, but before they got into Toastmasters, did they know what table topics meant? All you have to do is elaborate a little bit. It's table topics impromptu speaking practice, not just table topics. Don't get hung up, don't blind people with DTMs and other acronyms that they're not necessarily going to recognize. And think about how you might be able to go deeper. Creating blogs is a way of getting the attentions of the search engine. It's a way of instructing the AI engines, the ChatGPTs, on what's important about this club. And so you want to write a certain amount of text. I mean, I do recommend using video when you can, but if you use video in a post, try and have like 600 words of text to go along with it. Have some copy, have something that the AI engine, the search engine can more easily read and digest and understand more than it can understand the content of video, although that's probably getting better over the years. Uh, Now, I'm going to recommend WordPress, but there's also an article writing tool, basically a blogging tool being built into LinkedIn. And so if instead of just creating a regular post, you click on write an article, it gives you basically a whole blog editor where you can add a series of images, text subheadings. There's a space for a featured image up top, which is what shows up in the social feed, but you can build it out a little bit more. How does your club look in search results? Now, I mentioned insider baseball stuff. One of the things I see done a lot, and I'm actually picking on Andy's club, but I'm also helping him retool his club website. But one thing I see often is that in the title tag, in the thing that's going to show up in the few sentences worth of content that Google features when you're lucky enough to have your clubs turn up in search results, they'll include the club number. Who cares what your club number is? Is it something that's useful to have on the home page? Yes, because Club members maybe need to know it every once in a while when they're filling out a form. But what can you say about what makes your club special? Try and make sure that that is in the main title, in what's going to be picked up by Google. And actually, what Google and the other search engines look at is some text that you don't necessarily see as the title in the main textual part of the website, but it's in the header. There is a title tag. Now, typically people don't futz with this bit of code. They use some kind of tool to add that. So here's how you would do that in Free Toast Toast. We're right here where it says club name. That's going to be become your title tag on Free Toast Toast. And then there's a description that becomes the meta description that is included there. And again, that is something that the Google will often pick up on. They'll do it depending on whether they think it's meaningful information, or they might feature something else, particularly if they think they're trying to fool them. So that's how you would do it on Free Toast Toast. On WordPress, at least on the Toastmasters service, we have a tool called Yoast Search Engine Optimizer that will guide you towards making this optimal. And actually, the red line there means that my title tag is a little bit too long. My title tag information is a little bit too long. This is what it looked like after I shorted it. Now I have clean and green, and I'm ready to go off to the races and hopefully make a good impression on the rest of the web. And so I do run this hosting service. So I don't want to make this too much of a commercial, but there is a toastmos.org website you can go to sign up to get a WordPress website. It's unfortunately not free because I don't have a commercial sponsor to help me make it free. But you have all these different design possibilities. And there's also this button that I added recently called Go to the Playground. So in the playground, you can experiment as the editor of one of these sites. And you can see features like, for example, if I want to change the background color or the text color, it actually guides me towards Toastmasters brand approved colors. So that's part of the work that has gone into setting up these templates. Now, as I said, I don't want to make it too much of a commercial. Actually, I do. I could talk about it all day. But just to be polite to the other presenters and to people who aren't in this environment, I want to move on. You can find out more at toastmos.org. You can write to me at david@toastmos.org, and here's where you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. You'll find me out in the hallways after this presentation. I would love to talk to you more about it. I'd love to pull out my laptop and show you more about it. But again, the software is something that will make it easier for you to do some of the right things that will allow you to make that greater first impression. But it still comes back down to the webware. It still comes down to you thinking through what it is that will make an impression on somebody who maybe doesn't know anything about Toastmasters, and make them decide that this is the time that they have to find out and that your club is the right place to learn it. Thank you, moderator.
Now, did you want to do any Q&A, David?
Sure. I don't, did I not actually run through my 15 minutes of time? I wasn't quite sure how that came out. I didn't see any.
I apologize, David. I didn't know what the time limits were, and I thought maybe you were going 30, but you went 13 minutes, 51 seconds for your presentation. So
Okay.
You nailed it, buddy.
I would love to take questions, and then I look forward to an evaluation a little bit later. But are there questions that I can answer that were immediately raised by what I showed there? Yes, Andy.
There are many people that raise the question of what administrative software should I use? And the ones that come up most frequently, I always add in yours, is the Free Toast Host, your program of WordPress for Toastmasters, Speakeasy, Excel, and then there's a variety much smaller of people doing it by hand. So of the commonly used software, could you identify the basic advantages, whether it be using the agendas mobilely or the ability to do vote counting in a hybrid environment, and some of the unique things that you've put into the program that others may not know about?
Sure. A lot of, my focus, my ambition is about trying to give you an all-in-one package that allows you to handle the agenda management, the tracking of club member progress, uh, things like a vote counting tool. And I actually, when I when I give this presentation live, I want to make sure that I mention that we do have this mobile app, and that's an interesting distinguishing feature as well. Um, but I threw in the thing about the LinkedIn blog posting because that's something that anybody can do. If they're on Free Toast Toast, they can do that. They could take advantage of Medium. There's also WordPress.com and a few other things. But a large part of my emphasis is trying to get, if you can get them to the website, and if you get them to read something or watch a video on the website, and you also have some way of engaging on the website, signing up to visit the next meeting, um, that's trying to focus it more all in one area. You kind of also need to reach out and go to LinkedIn and go to other places, go to where the people are and see if you can bring some fraction of them back to you. Graham Cairns.
I'll begin with an observation and then there's a question. So please, I know this is in the audience here, in the audience at the convention. There's going to be roughly a split, sort of 25, 30% will be using Free Toast Toast, 25, 30% will be using Easy Speak, 25, 30% will be using spreadsheets, Excel, Google Sheets, and maybe 10% using Toastmost. But the thing that I'm asking is, they each do different things.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of getting people to your club, does a website need to, or even should it, be concerned with agenda management, or should it be more concerned with something else? Because Easy Speak, for example, is all about agenda management. So worst
Right.
looking, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, Nick Licani said he went back and told the people who were fans of Easy Speak that they had an ugly baby, and it wasn't terribly popular. Um, yeah. Easy Speak makes kind of homely websites, but functional. The guy who created it is, I believe, an accountant or something. So he was sort of trying to create an ERP system. So it's as friendly as SAP or Oracle ERP. Um, Not necessarily, but so I actually would say that the big virtue of the Toastmaster service actually probably has nothing to do with the stuff that I've added, except maybe the theme customizations where you have sort of easy access to the Toastmasters color palette. Um, it is those professional level marketing tools, um, but I have worked pretty hard on all the rest of it too. So um,
I wasn't trying to put down Easy Speak. It is, I would
no,
argue, probably the best agenda management of the, well, leaving aside Toastmost, of the big two, it's a better agenda management than Free Toast Toast, but Free Toast Toast has a better looking front page. But what I'm asking is,
right.
for the audience, which should be more important, agenda management or make a sing and dance so that you attract new members?
Well, I mean, I think you need both, and that's why some people have a an Easy Speak website, and then they also have, um, WordPress.com or or even Toastmasters. I know there are some people who have split between the two platforms or several platforms. But I'm trying to reduce complexity, certainly on myself, and hopefully on other people too, by putting more of it under one roof, because it's enough to learn any one of these things, how to use it well. One of the things I meant to mention about software is just because you and Stephen King use the same word processor software doesn't mean that you're going to write a best-selling novel. It is very much how you use the tool as well as taking advantage of the tool. On the other hand, if Easy Speak, if Stephen King was still trying to write things on a Selectric typewriter, or a manual typewriter, I think it might have slowed him down a little bit. All right. Why don't we leave it there?
David, this is not
Yes.
related to your conference that you're. It's just when I go to this website, I just recently learned. Can you see? I just
Yeah.
recently learned that this is the link that you actually see the agenda there. Because before I didn't know that this was the link, and I used to go to find the agenda itself. So is it possible to make this like, this is the link, you can see the agenda here, because you can actually see these are the links, but this kind of like online presenters meeting, and that's it. No one knows that this is actually the link.
Okay. Well, maybe that could be underlined. That would be a small change to make it look a little bit more like a link. When visitors come there, I really want them to click on the button that says RSVP now. And so that's kind of the tension about where do we focus things, is I'm focused on trying to get that visitor into the system, whereas you're smart enough to figure it out one way or another. Anyway,
Well,
but
I
it's a good
eventually
point.
figured it out. But I would agree with Asil that it's not intuitive to go to that spot. And if you were to, on the little line right under online presenters meeting, you have the date. If you set that line up the same way you have the future dates underneath, that probably would make more sense. It would make people understand that.
Okay.
Just a
It
thought.
can be done.
I like the fact that you want people to go to the RSVP. You want new people to go to the RSVP. But I would also say that I think most members of the club probably did what I did and clicked on next week's agenda and then went back one rather than.
All right. Well,
I only realized, did you make a recent change to that, or have we just all been stupid up till now?
Well, I was always
it's not recent, but adventures in web usability. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you, David Carr. Very, very interesting presentation. Now, next up, we are moving right along into our impromptu speaking section. And this will be led by our friend Asil. And she is always fun, always entertaining. So I am looking forward to this next segment. Please put your hands together for Asil.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And if you can pin me and then the speaker, that would be great, because I'll be showing the PowerPoint slides today. And tonight's theme, who are you becoming? A powerful question that invites us to reflect on our growth goals and journey ahead. And sometimes the best way to think about who we are becoming is to launch ourselves out of the ordinary. And that's why tonight we are going to talk about the mission on the moon. I'm going to share my screen. So, my first question. If aliens came to a Toastmasters meeting, what role would they naturally excel at? So I'm going to call, I think, Jim Barber.
Oh, thank you, Asil. I like you too. Now, let's see. I have to stop working on my evaluation. Let's see. If aliens came to a Toastmasters meeting, what role would they naturally excel at? That one is pretty easy, actually. They would have the role, I think is taken at this present time by Allie, of the role of timer. The reason for that is timing is something that aliens are going to be incredibly involved in. The reason being is that aliens come from another planet far, far away, as they always say in the science fiction shows. And far, far away means they're going to need to travel at least close to the speed of light, if not faster than the speed of light, which is getting into Einstein's time dilation problems. So getting to Earth at a particular time poses a real problem for aliens because their time is not going to match our time. So aliens, by definition, are going to have to be experts of keeping track of time. And if they're keeping track of time, if they're good at that, that makes them a natural for being the club timer. Also, it would be relatively easy to keep track of where the timer is because you could look for an alien. They would kind of stand out from the crowd. For example, right now, I have lost track of Allie. I have no idea where the timer is, and so I have no idea how long I'm talking for. But I think I've gone longer than... There he is. Okay, there she is. I'm sorry. I see her. Okay, it's green, so I think I can quit at this point. Alien green, by the way, it's also there. So that's the answer to the question. If aliens came to a Toastmasters meeting, what role would they naturally excel at? They would be green. They would be timers. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, Jim. And now I want to ask Allison, what planet are you from?
Okay, you're going to ask me what planet I am from.
Yes, because you are the timer, so
Okay.
I was connecting Jim's answer. So that was a joke.
I don't know.
Oh.
Jim will have to assign me a planet that I'm from.
Okay.
The planet
so next
Klingon.
Question. Thank you, Jim. So next question. If you lived on the moon, what Earth luxury would you absolutely smuggle into your space pod? I see our general evaluator is nodding. Graham.
Topics Master Asil, if I were going to be living on the moon, I would want the absolute best audio system that I could get. Music has been an important part of my life. I worked as a radio DJ for many years before I became a journalist, but from the earliest age, one of the things that set my political views, one of the things that set my worldview, one of the things that made me me was the music that I listened to, whether it was the blues and all of the angst that goes with that, whether it was the cheerfulness of bubblegum pop, whether it was the sheer magnificence of some classical music that just makes the soul soar. Music has always been extremely important to me. And so I would want absolutely the best audio system that I could get. But the thing that would be disappointing, even with the best audio system that I could get, would be that I would only ever be able to hear it when other people have created music. And one of the great joys of life is going to a live music venue and having the experience of sharing the love of music. But the problem with that is that if you were to build a bar or a restaurant or a concert venue on the moon, it wouldn't work, because no matter how hard you tried, there would never be any atmosphere. Topics Master.
Thank you, Graham. I think the universe would appreciate your audio system listening to your music. Thank you for your wonderful answer. And next, which would you rather do? Walk on the moon or walk into a room full of strangers and give a speech with no preparation? And I want to ask Carrie, our accountant.
Thank you so much, Table Topic Masters. If I can choose walking between walking on the moon or giving a speech, I'm so sorry. Online presenters, Toastmaster, I'm going to choose to walk on the moon. The reason is being that I think it's a lifetime experience. I've never tried that before. If I can walk on the moon, basically I would be floating and then I'll be jumping around like freedom. Ha ha ha. Brilliance. Brilliance, right? Because we're looking into become a brilliant person. I'm going to become a free person with a free mind that I can jump on the moon, walk on the moon. Ha ha ha. And there are so many to explore because you don't know what will be there on the moon. Maybe you can see the sun, maybe you can see the earth from a distance, maybe I can find some new creatures over there. Are there even animals? I don't know. Maybe there are some other astronauts who are also working there, walking over there. Maybe I can meet some new friends, or maybe it's just by myself. Huh. If it's just by myself, then I can definitely get some lonely, but alone times that I can be a little bit separated from my husband right now because he's a little bit annoying. So I really want to be sitting there, walking and explore around the moon. Yes, speech is definitely something that I really want to do, which is I'm doing right now, and I'm really doing this every single day. So I can do this every day. But walking on the moon is definitely a lifetime experience for me. It's a brilliant experience for me. So I would like to go and walk on the moon to explore around the world, to explore about the new creatures and to see whether there are new stuff over there and to have a little bit alone time to enjoy my own music, right? I don't know whether we can hear sound, Graham, but yes, maybe I can. Back to you, Table Topic Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Carrie. And maybe you can record video and we can post on our online presenters website. So everyone will be like thinking, whoa, this is interesting. Thank you so much. Okay, next. Houston, we have a problem. I've run out of, can you finish this sentence? So I'm going to ask, ooh, Dr. Sunny, you are smiling.
Wow, yeah. But I was thinking about that other question. The only moonwalking I'll be doing is learning Michael Jackson's brilliant moonwalk dance. But if I was in space and I heard, Houston, we have a problem, I've run out of power for my iPhone. You know, everyone has their pet or tool that they go to. For me, it's my iPhone. So if I run out of power, it's like I've lost connection to humanity, probably, just in case there are some other problems that don't work. I love my iPhone. I've put so much information, so much time into it. By the time I actually get to space, I hope that's one problem that I will never have to face, because Lord knows I often run out of power. And even when I travel, I try to have a little extra boost, so that I will never have that problem. I used to also have a watch, and I'm looking for our timer. I used to also have a watch that had GPS. So at one point, I would run back home, make a U-turn if I ever found out that my phone was not in my car. I don't know how easy it would be to make a U-turn on a spaceship, and I hope I never have to find out. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sani. Yeah, I'm also attached to my iPhone. Yeah, I understand that. Thank you. Okay, next. If your ambition were a rocket, what keeps it fueled and what keeps trying to unplug the launch pad? So this question will go to Dr. Andrew. Yay.
Thank you very much for that question. And that question being, if your ambition were a rocket, what keeps it fueled and what keeps trying to unplug the launch pad? My answer would be that this is taking place in the future. And in the future, we're going to have fusion power, not fission power, but fusion power, just like the sun. And because it'll be a fusion power, it'll be good for the environment and unlimited. We wouldn't have to worry about unplugging because fusion power would have no side effects and give us unlimited power for all that we need. We wouldn't have to worry about ever unplugging. Even the sun, however, will face one day when its fuels are exhausted. And we're looking at about 1 billion years from now. So I don't think I'm going to be around. But for those that are, hopefully they will find another source of energy other than the fusion power that exists on the sun. That's it for me.
Thank you, Dr. Andrew. Okay, so next question. If your dreams sent you a status report, what would it say right now? On schedule? Still circling Earth? Please reboot. So I'm going to ask, Johnny.
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. If my dreams were going to send me a report, it would say, go back to sleep. Now, the brilliance of being brilliant is knowing that some dreams are attainable, some are not, and understanding the context within which it would work. Think about it. A Jamaican who does not even drive, anger management issues, would not be the person you would want to put to fly a spaceship. Again, anger management issues. So it really is very simple that dreams are possible. However, without the correct tools and aptitudes, all you're going to do is continue to circle Earth and circle Earth and circle Earth. Having been through life's loop in that regard, and I consider myself brilliant, I've learned that context is important, but opportunity meets preparation and aptitude. And if you have preparation but no aptitude, if you have the aptitude but no tools, if you have the aptitude and the preparation but no willingness, motivation, or incentive to do it, guess what? Again, you're just going to keep circling and circling and circling. So that being said, whenever you find that your dreams are rebooting, not on schedule, or you keep circling, listen to my dreams and go back to sleep. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Johnny. Okay, next question. You've just been hired as the first Toastmasters coach on Mars. What's your first lesson for the aliens? This question will go to our Toastmaster of the day, Marianne.
Well, thank you for that question, Asil. My lesson to the aliens would be face your fear and do it anyway. Because generally speaking, we all fear public speaking, and I'm assigning my human qualities to these aliens, but if they were to be fearful, understanding that you can do it and come through on the other side with more confidence and more skill really is a great motivator. So if they truly wanted to win at public speaking, I would make sure I pointed out all the benefits of Toastmaster to them. And even if they were worried, even if they were fearful, I would want them to do it. So I would probably give what you're doing today a short version of table topics because, when we do it, we learn. So that is probably the best way. And that's why we're doing this tonight. Wouldn't you agree? So that's what I would do. Face the fear and do it anyway. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Marianne. So you'll be promoting them from the timers to the speakers. Good job. Thank you. Okay, next and the last question. You are lost in space. What's your one comfort item you'd want floating around with you? And can I ask this question, Ellen? Ruth Ellen, I believe. Would you like to answer?
Thanks,
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, thank you, Table Topics Master. I don't have an attachment to anything, so being able to take something into space means that I'm probably going to not utilize it to its best of its ability. I think if I was up in space, I would want to be present. I would want to see the stars. I'd want to see any alien friends. I want to make sure that I'm engrossed in the environment. And so I feel like if I took something with me that wasn't as impactful or meaningful to me, because I don't get attached to many things, it would not be as, the word I'm looking for, it would not be as beautiful or brilliant up in space, because I would be distracted by the thing and be worrying about the things, didn't have the batteries and etc., whatever it is. It could be literally a TV. It doesn't matter. I think I would be very happy just to be present in space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Thank you for joining us. We're so happy to see you today, to have you today. Thank you. So, thank you everyone for orbiting this question with your imagination and insight, whether you're circling Earth or shooting the stars, for the stars. Never stop asking, who am I becoming? Back to you, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Asil. I loved it. You were brilliant tonight. Everyone enjoyed it. What a fun table topic session. Now we're going to be moving on to the evaluation portion of the meeting, the gift of feedback. And who is going to lead us? It will be our Vice President of Education, Mr. Graham Cairns.
Thank you, Toastmaster Marianne.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I just give me one more minute?
Yep.
Timer, have all of our speakers
Yes.
qualified?
Yes, I was trying to be fancy and put a nice little thing together. All speakers for table topics have qualified, and I'm about to put it in the chat now.
Okay, and Joni, do you want people to message you or do you have a link?
I'll be posting the link shortly. I was waiting for the times.
Okay, there they are in
Okay.
the chat, Madam President.
Okay. I'm sorry for that. Back to you, Graham.
Thank you very much. I was just about to do that. So thank you, Marianne. So please send your votes when the link comes up in the chat to the vote counter for today, who will then decide who our best speaker of the day was. I wonder who that's going to be. And also who our best evaluator is going to be when they evaluate. But your table topics vote can be registered as well. Hello, my job today is General Evaluator. One of the things that I will be doing is calling on the people who have been doing ancillary roles and asking them how they have performed. So we'll start with, actually, before we do the ancillary roles, we will go to our evaluation. Now, we only have the one evaluator today, and that's Jim Barber, who's going to be evaluating the presentation by David. Given that David's presentation ran for 25 minutes in total, I'm going to give Jim a little extra time for his evaluation, and so I'll ask for 3, 4, and 5 minutes for this evaluation, please, Madam Timekeeper. So, Jim, your evaluation, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. I was all prepared to tell everybody that since I'm the only evaluator, I wasn't concerned about winning, and so I was going to ignore the timing this evening, but you've given me extra time, and I do appreciate that. Because, let's see, also I'm going to, because this is David. This is David that I'm evaluating. I'm not going to waste a lot of time, David, telling you how well you did or what a good presenter you are and that sort of thing. You are, but you're the founder, one of the founders of Online Presenters. You're the author and creator of Toastmost. And of course, you are presenting at the Toastmasters International Convention. Enough said. You are good. So I'm just going to cut to the chase and make some suggestions about how you could improve on this otherwise brilliant presentation. First of all, I'm going to evaluate it two different ways. I'm going to evaluate it as though it were an online presentation, which you were doing tonight, and also as it would be an in-person presentation, which is what you're going to be doing when you're in Philadelphia. If it were an online presentation, you handled it very well, as you would expect from one of the founders of Online Presenters. This was a great online presentation. I do have one suggestion for you, and that is illustrated in the little window up there. Your solid black background is very good, very professional. I like that. However, you have dark hair, and your hair basically faded away into the background, and we couldn't really see it. So a couple of possibilities would be to change your background to another solid color, blue perhaps, or something like that, and so it would stand out a little bit better. Or get yourself a backlight that's sitting right behind you so that the very edges of your hair would be lit up. I don't have that problem. I'm only going to fade into the background if I have a gray background, but you need to look at a different colored background. Also, now, the real thing, if you're doing an in-person presentation, and again, I thought this presentation was pretty much flawless. I've got no suggestions except, let's see if I can go to my notes here. You mentioned at one point that, or mentioned at a couple of points, that you didn't want to make this into a commercial. I wouldn't keep reminding people that it's a commercial. Just go ahead and talk about Toastmost, but don't say that it's a commercial. And you can mention that this is something that you have produced, and then that's it. You're not promoting it, because that might spook some people. That might scare them away. They're thinking, oh, well, they're listening to a commercial. Don't even mention the word. Don't even stress that. A better way, I think, would be to, as some of the questions did, I think maybe Andy asked the question, and you did a great job in answering the questions, of comparing the different platforms that people could use. Do that. Start with that at the beginning. Compare the different platforms, and you can say one of them is Toastmost, which I have developed. I'm going to use Toastmost as an example because it's the one that I'm most familiar with. That's okay. Everybody's going to buy that, and it's not a commercial. So you can present pretty much the same way that you presented it, just get rid of those particular phrases. And let's see, also at one point you mentioned that you didn't have a sponsor for Toastmost, so it cost money. Don't mention that it costs money. Let people get so fired up about it that they're going to look into it, and then they'll discover that it costs money, and they'll find the money someplace. Don't do their job for them. Also, don't mention that you don't have a sponsor. That's basically an admission of failure. You don't want to do that. Go into it. Just simply say, this is Toastmos. It is great. And this is the things that it can do. Da 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 da. That's it, pretty much it. But this was a great presentation. You are going to do phenomenal in Philadelphia. And this was basically an exercise in brilliance. And that's all I've got to say about it. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Evaluator Jim Barber, and congratulations on getting the word of the day in there more than once. I thought that was quite brilliant. David, did you have, sorry, Andrew, did you have something specific, or can we leave this till later?
I have something specific to help David out, and that's some words from Steve Jobs. And that is that when you do a presentation, you always want to have a story, have a villain, and have a savior in the story. And the villain is, what are the problems that this program application is going to solve? Everyone that starts a club has problems in administration, keeping track of all that. This program solves those problems. So it's a problem solution presentation versus just information.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. That's good advice there. Can I get the time for the evaluation, please, Alison?
Yes, Jim's evaluation I put in the chat, Mr. General Evaluator, was 4 minutes and 18 seconds.
Excellent. So I think we can effectively say that the only evaluator tonight was Jim, but he met within the time frame, so he deserves to win. Well done, Jim. Okay, moving on now. It's time for me to call on the ancillary roles, and the first of those is the timekeeper. I thank you, timekeeper Alison, for doing a fabulous job tonight, but don't stop, because we've still got time to go. Our R counter tonight. Now, the R counter, according to the screen, is Carrie. Carrie, have you been doing the R counting tonight? Have I got that right? In that case, can you please give us a report on how we have done with our ums and ahs and so's? Have we joined the sewing circle, or have we been amazing? Carrie Kong.
Amazing and brilliant and brilliance. So I would say, like, tonight, a lot of people doing really great. I can barely hear a lot of like filler words. The only person I want to address is David, given that the length of his speech. So I did hear some filler words from him, such as so for a couple of times, for a couple of times, and but for maybe 2-3 times at the same time, but and so maybe he was hesitating. And I heard like Graham, you talk like but for twice and 3 times, and I do feel like sometimes it's easy for us to use that for transitioning purposes, so it's okay, but oh, okay, I'm using but, it's bad. Jim has been using so for twice, and other than that, I can barely hear any filler words, so I can say most people are doing good, and then we can just try to minimize the use of but a little bit. Maybe we can use however. On the other hand, I'm trying to think about more words to use. Back to you, General Evaluator of the Day.
Excellent, Kerry. Thank you for that brilliant report. And in the words of Sir Mix-a-Lot, I like big butts and I cannot lie. Sorry. Let's move on to the grammarian. Ruth Ellen, can you give us a report on how we've done in terms of grammar this evening?
Brilliant. Thank you. So I've been listening. I've been engrossed in today's meeting. So well done everyone for using word of the day. We've got Joni, we got Asil, we have David, we've got Kerry, Kafika. I've got like Dr. Sunny. There's loads of people that have used it. Jim as well. So thank you for using word of the day. Now, what I really loved about today's session was the use of repetition. Many times I heard the words maybe sun, maybe moon, maybe creatures from Kerry's speech. I heard repetition's a really good way of getting people hooked into the story. Got circling the earth. Circle Earth, Circle Earth, Circle Earth that Joni came up with as well. And I think just basically being able to repeat what you're saying and have at the beginning is just a really great use of language and great use of grammar to be able to then get people hooked in, to continue to listen in to what you're saying. I liked terms like lifetime experience. I also liked a term of thank you, I like you too, when Jim was called on to do a table topics about something as well, because that use of humor also is a great use of grammar as well. The other thing I thought was really well done by everybody was the use of pace. Now, I know technically pace is grammar, but I love the fact that when something important was going to be said, there was a pause. And then it was almost landed. And I think that was a really great way to also get us all on tenterhooks to listen in. So thank you all for being great orators today.
Excellent, Ruth Ellen, for that brilliant grammarian's report. I don't need to use brilliant anymore because we've already counted them. Moving on to a role in this club, which is almost unique. I don't know, can you have almost unique? Something has to be either unique or not. You can't have qualified. But anyway, a role which is rare in other clubs, and that is the watcher. Sunny, can you give us any observations about what we've been doing tonight in terms of using the screen?
Yes, I have been watching all of you, and for the most part, you've been brilliant. I was looking at one of our comments, and David was sharing his speech. And so you can see him. You can, depending on if you're in multi-view, you can see the members, and you can also see his slide. So kudos for that. Oh, and I don't want to use also, but the other thing that I wanted to do is say that everyone pretty much has a good background. And thank you for pointing out, David, how he can change his background or change his hair color as well. Then, you know, make a blue hairstyle or something. Just saying. And finally, Ruth Ellen, I just noticed when you came on Spotlight that that is really a wolf or something like behind you. It might not even be a wolf, but the only thing I would suggest is that it's very interesting, and I don't know if it takes away from your background or not. It's just something to consider. Very interesting. I would be really curious. What's your inspiration for having that background? Real quickly, I'd love to hear.
Just I love the idea of the lone wolf. That's actually a myth, and that the wolf always has a pack. And I think it's a great analogy. I just like the idea of wolf's community.
Wow. Well, it's very cosmic looking as well. So I think it can work for you. But just be aware someone else, another judge or evaluator, may say that you look like maybe you have ears growing out from you. But I didn't see that today. All right. In general, everyone did a good job, really brilliant. And I will hand it back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Watcher Dr. Sunny. Let's move on to the chat monitor role, which again is something that's almost unique to this club. Ali, are there anything in the chat that we should take specific notice of?
Oh, was I doing dual roles tonight again?
Maybe no, you weren't actually. I remember now that role got changed. That was Kritika. Kritika, can you give us any observations about the chat tonight?
Of course. The ad hoc role that I took it last minute. Today's chat were like quite interesting. We had a good engagement of all of our members. Personally speaking about their own personal life's achievement from Andy, and there were food for thought on multiple topics. When there was a table topic session that was initiated by Asil, we had good level of engagement mentioning about Michael Jackson, their own experience, like how did they feel about walking on the moon. And there is also two important shares. One is about speaking with an executive, like how do you have to speak with an executive, and there is one more video which has been shared by Andy. Apart from this, we had We have one share from David about his Club Awesome's promotion. I'll just request you all to have a look into it, and then if you are interested, you can participate. And that's it for today. Over to you, Graham.
Thank you very much, Kritika. Please make a note, everybody, to download the link, for example, that have been provided by Andy Byrne and also by Kritika, and also the really useful one-page executive communication sheet that was presented there by Kritika. So those are all in the chat and they are all worth taking a look at. So don't ignore the chat. You can save the chat, of course, by going and hitting the dots and saying save chat. We have one more ancillary role, and that is the vote counter. Do we have a result of the best table topic vote counter, Joni?
We do. For our best speaker, the best way to be best speaker is be the only speaker. So we all know David Carr. For best evaluator, again, be the only one. That would be Jim Barber. And for our best table topic speaker, we have Madam visiting us after a very long time, Ruth Ellen, who is our best table topic speaker today.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Johnny. And obviously, as you mentioned in the chat, it was close. So that's what I love about this club. We all, what is it, the phrase? A rising tide floats all boats. We all get better simply by being here. So well done. Okay. I want to make a few general observations about the meeting because that's my role as general evaluator. And I actually have about 2 minutes before I have to hand to the president to do the closing remarks and guest comments. Couple of observations if I can. We weren't the busiest meeting we've ever been here today, but we've actually got a reasonable number. What are we talking? 12 members, which is not bad for clubs. I did notice at one stage we had a guest here. Mitesh was here, but doesn't appear to be here anymore. The table topics tonight, I think, is something that I really want to draw attention to. I genuinely loved those table topics. Asil had gone to an enormous amount of work to put them together, even though she had to change the theme slightly at the very last moment because there was some confusion about what the theme of the meeting was because the theme of the meeting hadn't been established as at yesterday afternoon for me. And Asil said, what's our theme? So I made an executive decision and said, let's make it X, which she had used to create her table topics. And then the Toastmaster had noticed that there was no theme of the meeting, so had put in one. So what Asil did, I thought really well, was merged the two. And that's the sign of a good Toastmaster, learning how to change things on the fly. It was a great session. I thought the topics were all really fun, and I thought they were all presented really well. We only had one evaluation today, and I want to just do a couple of observations about Jim's presentation. What Jim did tonight was know that he didn't have a lot of time, but he had a couple of things that were really worth saying. And so he said, look, you did well, you don't need the praise. Now, in a normal club meeting, you give people praise because they deserve the praise. They need to know what they're doing well so they can keep doing it. But in this case, he didn't need to because David knows he's not bad at this sort of thing. What Jim gave was specific things which David could do when he's presenting this in Philadelphia. And that's what an evaluation should do above all else. Give the speaker specific points for their next presentation, whether they're specific things that go well, specific things that should be changed. Specificity is the important part. I thought tonight's was a great meeting. Marianne, you did a really good job as Toastmaster. I loved your philosophical bit at the beginning. I thought that worked really well to set the tone for the meeting, and I really enjoyed the fact that everybody was willing to step up. So thank you, everyone. We have pretty much an agenda for the next meeting, a couple of roles that need to be filled. Please go to them if you haven't put yourself down for a role and make sure you are there for a role. I will now hand control of the meeting. Do you want it back, Marianne, or will I give it straight to the president? I'll give it back.
I'll take it back.
All yours.
Okay, everybody. I do want to thank everybody who stepped up at the last minute into some of our empty roles. And as we close tonight's meeting, I invite you to pause for just a moment and reflect on the journey you've taken, not just this evening, but lately, because every interaction, every insight, every time you choose to speak up or thoughtfully hold space for someone else, those are the tiny milestones of who you're becoming. You're not becoming someone else, you're becoming more you. And that's the most important transformation of all. It's not a race, there's no finish line, but every time you lean into growth, into discomfort, into connection, you sculpt a version of yourself that's braver, wiser, and more whole. So tonight, take pride in who you are becoming. And know that this meeting wasn't just a gathering, it was a small, powerful step forward. Thank you all for being part of the journey. Let's keep becoming together. And I would like to pass it back to our Madam President, Joni Laidlaw.
Thank you to our Toastmaster of the day for taking us through our program. Now we basically have 1 minute remaining. And since, unfortunately, our guest fell off, I will now call our meeting adjourned.